Imagine a completely controlled clinical environment. Same therapy room, same therapist, same child. At 8 a.m., the child is working quietly at their desk, but by 2 p.m., they're agitated and throwing materials across the room. The common assumption here is that the child is unmotivated or perhaps struggling with an invisible, fluctuating mood. We often treat motivation as an internal character trait that simply changes on its own. But applied behavior analysis views this differently. Motivation is an observable science. It is a measurable environmental variable, not a mystery of the mind. To explain this change in behavior, we have to identify the environmental trigger that bridges the gap between what a person can do and what they actually want to do. In behavior analysis, we call this the motivating operation. A motivating operation, or MO, is a dynamic condition in the environment that temporarily changes two distinct things at the exact same time. The first axis is the value-altering effect. This determines how much you want a specific consequence. Establishing operations, or EOs, increase the value of a reinforcer. Abolishing operations, or AOs, decrease that value. The second axis is the behavior-altering effect. This dictates the current frequency of behavior. An evocative effect is an immediate increase in behavior to get a reinforcer, while an abative effect is a decrease in that behavior. By 2 p.m., several hours without parental attention acted as an establishing operation. This made that attention much more valuable, which evoked the agitated behavior because it had worked to get attention in the past. Curious, these operations are constantly shifting our desires and actions. When we see this, we stop viewing behavior as a character flaw and start seeing it as a temporary state we can actually decode. This starts with unconditioned motivating operations, or UMOs. These are biological drives that require no prior learning to affect us. These are hardwired into our survival. They include the deprivation of food, water, sleep, oxygen, and sex, as well as encountering extremes in temperature or physical pain. Think of a severely dehydrated runner crossing a marathon finish line and aggressively grabbing a water cup from a bystander. The mechanics are clear. Severe water deprivation is an EO that drives the value of water to an extreme level. This immediately evokes the urgent water-seeking behavior we see at the finish line. While UMOs govern our primal survival, most behavior in modern environments is driven by a learned system of motivation. Conditioned motivating operations, or CMOs, are learned environmental triggers. Practitioners identify these through 3 specific subtypes. First is the CMOS, or surrogate. This is a neutral stimulus that takes on MO value simply by being paired with another MO, like a specific time on a clock, making you feel hungry, even if you're not physically deprived of food. Then there is the CMOR, or reflexive MO. This acts as a warning stimulus that precedes a worsening situation, making its removal a valuable reinforcer. When that intimidating worksheet hits the desk, its mere presence makes escaping the task highly valuable. This instantly evokes avoidance behaviors, like breaking a pencil or asking for a bathroom break. The third is the CMOT, or transitant MO. This is an environmental condition that makes a separate object essential for a reinforcer. A locked door establishes a previously neutral object, your key, as a valuable reinforcer. Because the key is now valuable, it evokes the behavior of searching through your pockets or checking your bag to find it. CMOs allow us to map out why a person values specific things in specific moments. It shows that what we want is a product of our learning history and our current context. There is a major conceptual trap, confusing motivating operations with discriminative stimuli, or SDs. The rule is that MOs change the value of a consequence. They ask, do I want this? SDs signal the availability of that consequence. They answer, can I get this right now? If you haven't eaten all day, that deprivation is an EO. It establishes a massive value for food. You definitely want to eat. But if you walk into a kitchen and see a disgustingly dirty microwave, that is an S-delta. An S-delta is a stimulus that signals a particular behavior will not be reinforced in its presence. It tells you that food preparation is not available here. The ML makes you want to eat, but the S-delta tells you it isn't happening. For a behavior to occur, you need both the motivation and the availability. Mastering motivating operations allows us to expand the traditional ABC model of behavior: antecedent, behavior, and consequence. This creates the four-term contingency, a complete map of human action. It begins with the MO, setting the stage for the SD, behavior, and consequence. Manipulating this first node lets us intervene before behavior starts. An abolishing operation prevents problem behaviors proactively. If a client acts out to get attention, we can provide rich, non-contingent attention before they feel deprived. This acts as an AO that lowers the value of attention, causing the problem behavior to fade away because the motivation for it is gone. When behavior breaks down, it is usually a failure of the environment, not the person. We fix the environment by mastering the variables of motivation.